Welcome back to part 2. If you haven't already checked out part 1, please do so. You'll find that on our podcast channel and our YouTube channel. Join us again now for part 2. You mentioned there about points. So what would, because you touched on this sort of at the start, reading an article on LinkedIn, someone posts something about cybersecurity, for example. You read that, I'm guessing then you then submit that onto your CPD scoring matrix.
Yep.
What sort of points would that give you? Would that be like 1 or 2? Or?
So the rule of thumb is one learning hour is equal to 1 point. So if you read an article that takes you 10 minutes, you probably haven't quite hit a point there. But if you read a number of articles that you might read over a series of days, by the time you accumulate an hour of reading, and you can list those articles. I read these 3 different articles that took me an hour. There's 1 point, and that'll be absolutely fine. The thing about CPD is it's really broad and deep. So it's a number of different activities. It can be mentoring somebody, so giving someone advice and guidance. It can be being mentored, so you're receiving advice and guidance from somebody. It could be sitting on and participating in a webinar. It could be delivering a webinar. It could be going to a trade show. It could be doing a formal training course or an academic program. So it could be doing research. It's a whole load of stuff. What we try and get folk to think about is it's something that's beyond your everyday job. So if it's outside of your normal scope of work and you're doing something a little bit extra, that's where you're really sort of starting to push the boundaries of your knowledge and understanding, and that's really good CPD. But what I find is when you first start to do CPD, you start to create a bit of a habit. So to begin with, don't be too hard on yourself. Chuck everything at the CPD record, all right, and it'll start to filter out, and then you'll start to evaluate yourself where the real value is, and then you'll become quite focused in your own individual CPD.
Okay, so can you only do like 1 CPD? Is it like a 12-month period? And then once you've done that and submitted it, you wait for the next.
Yeah. So the whole sort of concept behind it is to get professional security practitioners to think about doing something regularly to maintain their currency or to learn something new. And we were talking earlier on about facial recognition, for example. So there's a whole debate still going on around facial recognition, and it's whether it's valuable or not. It's about understanding what the arguments are. We talk to people. A lot of the argument is about privacy. All right. Well, and yet we know that everyone puts all of their personal data on their Facebook page and stuff like that. So there's a whole debate around that. There's discussion at the moment with technology from other foreign nations and all of that stuff. So it's understanding. That's just one particular topic. So it can be whatever you're interested in. I think is really important. But what we do it on a 12-month basis. So what I try and encourage folk that talk to me, I say, look, start the CPD year in January. If you think of the first 6 months where you can gather up your evidence, and you'll do it easily within 6 months, that then gives you 6 months to show off your CPD tick. And then what I personally do is come the end of December, I will remove the CPD tick for that year off of my name block, and I'll start all over again.
So the institute itself, so someone coming from, let's say, one of our colleagues on the front lines watching this, and interestingly, we're running something in the background at the moment where we reached out to all of our frontline colleagues and said we're prepared to sponsor a number of you to join the institute, and we'll pay for your membership for the first year. A couple of segues off the back of that is, I think we had maybe 4 people raise their hand, 3 of which had no idea what the Security Institute was, but they maybe just saw something and thought, oh, I'll do that. What kind of activities and things like that can people at the front line or beyond get involved with the Institute? What are the benefits to joining?
Yeah, there's loads of benefits actually. So one of the obvious benefits I find for those that hit the member status, so they've got member of the Security Institute post-nominals after their name, they highly value those because in order to gain those post-nominals, they have to have been validated by a group of peers. So it's almost like a rubber stamp, an endorsement, a kite mark, if you like. Those that come in just below that, so your associate members, they can work up to that all day long, easily enough. We found that we often get a lot of junior managers and above that are members of the Institute. We're looking for frontline operatives, so we're trying to encourage them to come and join the Institute. And the sort of things that they can do is they can join any of the special interest groups, for which there are, I think last count there was about 21. We're looking at culling some of them that are not active, but we've got, so one that would fit them really well would be the frontline security officer special interest group, where we talk about all different issues that are related to their particular part of the industry, all frontline issues, pay, conditions, the law, and a whole load of stuff. So, and that's free, so they can contribute to that, or I try and encourage those that are members of the special interest groups not to be a passive observer, but to contribute. And that can be just by engaging in discussion on the members platform, or actually engaging during the webinar. So there's that. There's also various different events we have throughout the year, including the annual conference. And if someone was a newbie and they made themselves known to me, the sort of things that I would do, and I do this a lot, is I will speed date people around the room. So I'll ask them what their interests are, and I'll often know a handful of people that are in that particular area, and I will take this individual and I will put them in front of that person, I'll make the introduction, I'll leave them for 10 minutes, I'll come back, pick them up and take them somewhere else. That by the time they've been around the room for an hour, they're exhausted. But at the end of that, they've met a number of different people that they would never have met ordinarily. They've probably got their contact details in the form of a business card. It's then up to them to start to create their professional relationships with people. And the benefit of that is, and this is how I operate, is I don't know everything about everything, far from it. But if I'm faced with a particular issue that I know very little about, I'll often know someone that knows a lot about it. I'll reach out to them, I'll ask them for some advice and guidance. And it's quid pro quo, they do the same to me. And that's one of the real benefits. The other thing is, expanding your network, which is what we're talking about, opens doors. Because if you've had 5 minutes of someone's time and they've liked the cut of your jib, and they're going, right, I like that person, and suddenly a position becomes available in their organisation, you might be the first person that comes to mind, and they come directly to you. So there are a number of benefits to that.
Would it be fair to say that you get out what you put in?
100%. You absolutely get out what you put in. So you can easily join the Institute, hit member status and get your post nominals and sit back and do nothing. That's entirely up to you. And some members unfortunately do that and then moan, because they often say, well, what do I get out of it? And my answer to them will be, what have you put into it? So it's, the Institute isn't a service, it's a member, it's a member organisation. So it's the members that do things for the benefit of the members. I mean, as a member of the board, I don't get paid for being a member of the board, and I don't get a free membership. I still pay my dues, all right? I make that really clear. So I pay my way, but I'm trying to contribute something, and we're just looking for others to contribute stuff back as well. So
what sort of members do you have? What number?
We're just north of 4,000 members at the moment, so we're growing.
And what percentage of that would you say of like frontline officers?
I don't know what the percentage are, but it would be really small, quite frankly.
So obviously, it's somewhere where it needs to be actively encouraged.
Yeah, I think the whole accessibility, so that visibility piece. You just mentioned then, Alex, that some of your team went, I've never heard of the Institute. So we have a visibility issue at the operational level, so at the coal face really, where we need to introduce frontline operatives to this professional body, encourage them to join. It's not mandatory, but if they join and they then contribute, we can help them to grow, and I think that's a good thing.
I think one of the questions that would probably get asked of us is, how much would it cost for someone to come in at, let's say, entry level, and what level is that called?
It's not a lot. It's not a huge amount of money. So someone that comes in that's student member, for example, I think off the top of my head is about £50
a year.
£50 a year as a student. Now, a student will be a student whilst they're on a recognised course, a recognised qualification, which might only last a year. After a year, they will be expected to revalidate, and there's a cost to validating somebody. So as a student, you take them in, you take them at face value. The member officer will say, Carl, is this person on your program? I say yes they are, and they get student membership, and that's the end of it. Someone that is going through the validation process, there's a cost to that, because we've got to security screen them to BS 7858, we've got to check that they are who they say they are, and there's a number of administration things that go on behind the scenes. There's a cost to that, which will cost, I don't know, £100 or something. So there is a cost to being a member. I mean, my membership as a fellow is it's just gone up £190 a year, which I think is money well spent, quite frankly. So I pay my membership as a fellow of the Security Institute, and I also pay a membership to maintain my membership to the Register of Chartered Security Professionals. So and I have access to all of the benefits that come with that.
Okay. Is that something that you can pay like by direct debit monthly?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I suppose one of the things people might think is I can't afford to maybe lose £150 or whatever it is out of a monthly salary, but if people can do it a month, a tenner a month or 15 quid a month, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
That's a few costers, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. So I guess when I joined, it wasn't really made that clear. Maybe this is something that the Institute could look at. It wasn't super clear that you could do that. But yeah, I mean, the Institute's recently appointed a new head. Have you had a chance to sit down with, I've forgotten the chap's name now.
Simon Hepburn. Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Simon Hepburn's recently been recruited as our new chief executive. I've seen Simon, I spoke to him very briefly on a number of occasions, but he's only been in post just come up to 2 months, I think. So I will get my chance to have a good chat with him, but he's been finding his feet and already making an impact. So yeah, it's great. I'm looking forward to seeing some stability back in the Institute as we move forward. We've been through a number of issues in recent time, as any organisation does. We're a learning organisation, and we've moved through that, and we're getting into much calmer waters, hopefully.
What was kind of before Simon came in? What was the objectives and like the future goals for the Institute? Did they have any, or was it?
Yeah.
Were they just kind of muddling through?
No, the Institute's never muddled through, as far as I know. Certainly in my time, I've been on the board for 6 years, and we've always had a strategy. And that's the previous strategy we were operating to was a 5-year strategy. We've come to the end of that. We're now into a new era, and we've got a new strategy. One of the main things that we've identified and is about to be launched is a new digital platform. So you'll be aware, if you go onto the Institute's website at the moment, it's a little bit clunky, it's a little bit dated. It was absolutely fit for purpose in its time, 3-4 years ago. It's now sort of outlived its purpose, so we're about to launch. We're very near. I don't know exactly how close, but I'm told it's very close to a new digital platform, which will take us into the next period of the Institute's being.
I suppose working back to the original question would be, what would be the benefits? Like we said, I think it's very much you get out what you put in, but there's a whole world of experts in and amongst that. We touched briefly on mentoring at the start of the podcast. Mentoring or being mentored is something that can be done in the Security Institute. Is that something that you do actively with people, or what's involved?
So within the Institute, you can formally ask for a mentor. So it doesn't need to be someone that you necessarily know. So if you say to the Institute, could you please link me up with a mentor, we will go out to a group of people that have put themselves forward as mentors, and we will select. So we will match you to somebody that is suitable to to what your requirements are, and we'll allow that person to mentor you. We step back, and it's up to the mentee and the mentor to create a relationship between the two and guide them on. I've got a number of people that I mentor, as well as I am mentored as well. So I mentioned Matt Mayer previously, who's my governor down in London, and I'm sure he realises it, but I'll tell him now, he is one of my mentors. He keeps me on the straight and narrow. He's one of those people I can ask, if I'm dealing with something I'm just not quite sure about, then Matt is one of the people I'll go to and say, Matt, what's your thoughts? It's almost like having another dad, quite frankly.
So whereabouts is I know you say you were having a new digital platform, but is that going to be across website, Instagram, Meta, whatever, or is it just internet based?
Do you know what, Alan? I absolutely don't know. It's certainly the fundamental is going to be a website. So you're going to be able to go onto a website.
Log in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Access,
so there'll be a members area which will be secure, and then you'll go into that members area, and then you'll get you'll be able to access the members platform. So things like all of the special interest groups will all be on that platform, pretty much as they are now, but in a much smoother way. At the moment, you log in, and sometimes it's a little bit clunky, if I'm being really honest. But that's what we're looking for, is creating a knowledge hub. So you can go onto that digital platform. It's a website to me. I'm still old-fashioned, and you can go down. You can go through a number of different doors, down a number of different corridors, and find published articles. So there'll be recorded webinars. It's almost like walking into a library. As in a knowledge hub.
So I presume we'll be able to put the link on the on the podcast, but just for the sake of people listening and wanting to look you up straight away. What's the web address?
Just input into your search engine of the Security Institute, and it will pop up straight at the top of the list.
There's an active LinkedIn page on there as well. To be fair, where they publish all the things like the webinars that are coming up or any literature. The AGM's coming up, isn't it, soon for the Institute? That's this month, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
What type of thing generally goes on there?
So the AGM is the chair's meeting. So if you want to raise an issue at the AGM, we've got pretty good governance. So that means that you will be expected to submit your question pre-AGM. So the directors can come with the necessary information to answer your question in detatel. So it's not a free for all, as long and short of it. It's not a heckling opportunity where we all get egged. But it's an opportunity for the chair and the board of directors to tell the members what we've been doing throughout the year, what they look forwards to, what we're doing in the future. And all of our sort of all of the detail of what we're doing. So one of the things I am expecting is to make an announcement about the digital platform at the next AGM, and then taking that forward.
One of the things I saw recently on the Institute's LinkedIn was that they're now accepting applications for new board members, new directors. So I'm assuming that that's your tenure coming to a close.
Yep.
What would be involved if someone is listening who wanted to get involved in that? What would be the prerequisites? What would you need to do to get on that? What kind of experience are they looking for? Yeah,
that's a really good question, Alex. So first of all, anyone that's thinking about it and their ears are pricking up at this, brilliant. Put your hat in the ring. Come, step forward and contribute. It's a board of directors, and if I'm being really honest, when I first joined the board of directors, I didn't really know how to be a director within a board of directors. So that first sort of 12, 18 months, it really was a steep learning curve for me, starting to understand what governance really means within a board and an organisation that was growing quite quickly. We are looking for people that have got a little bit of director experience, but it's not the be-all and end-all. We're looking for people that have got the ability, the bandwidth to contribute. So we're not looking for folk that just want to get the title of director next to their name and then sit back and do nothing. We don't have the bandwidth for that, so we can't carry people. We're looking for folk that really can contribute. So if someone is interested in training and education, for example, and wants to get involved in the special interest groups, come forward. Got someone that's got a good eye for detail in terms of financial detail and wants to get involved in helping us with our accounts and all of that type of stuff, come forward. We've got someone that's got an interest in legal side of things and governance related stuff, come forward. There's a whole load of stuff that people can contribute within the board of directors, but it's a voluntary role, so you don't get paid for it. The benefits are you'll learn stuff, and that's what I picked up. I'm coming to the end of my second tenure. We do have a mechanism where because we've had a number of people move off the board of directors in recent time, that they will want to retain some of the corporate memory we've had over the last 6 years. So I might be asked to stay on an extra year, and we've got that written up in our articles. I could do that if I'm asked, and if I agree to do it. We'll see.
Okay, cool. How many board members do they generally have at any one time?
So within our articles, there is a minimum number that we've agreed to have, and there's a maximum number. And what we found is if you go to the top end number, which is around about 15, that the board can sometimes become a little bit unwieldy. So we think that 9 is the sweet spot where we've got a fairly agile board, we can make decisions relatively quickly, but there's still enough people on the board that it goes through a number of hands to make sure that we're doing the right thing and the right level of scrutiny and governance is applied.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it's things like strategy and policies and things like that.
Absolutely.
That you're driving for the institute.
Yes.
I suppose it might be a little bit of a controversial question. So my previous role with my old company, Core Security, I'd been in the industry about 8-9 years, and at that point I had no idea who the Security Institute is. And I'd come up through the ranks of being a frontline security officer, and followed the ladder upwards. How would you say over the next few years could the Institute better represent and better market itself to frontline officers so that people think that's something that I have to be involved in, not something that you could be or it's voluntary?
Yeah.
I'm guessing the Institute wants people to think we have to be involved in this. How would they go? How would you say they could better go?
I think it's all about aligning the Institute to career pathways, so creating career pathways for individuals starting out at the beginning of their security industry career. So a security officer working on the front door of Tesco's or on the pubs and clubs on a Friday night, or in a corporate facility, or is doing CP for on an ad hoc basis as I did, or all of those things, can say, right, if I join the Institute, that will help me to waymark my career, and it will give me the opportunity to do different types of activities which enable me to take the next step up. So education and training are absolutely fundamental to that. So we need to think about having the right products, the right education and training products. And education and training are two different things, all right? But make sure we've got both of those particular things covered off with a variety of opportunities for people to partake. So it doesn't all have to be branded Security Institute. It can be, we need to identify other partners that are delivering high quality products and services that can work alongside us. We can endorse it and promote it, and they provide the services. So things like that. I think that's really important, and we could do better at that. We are aware. There's things in place as part of our strategy to ensure that education is one of the cornerstones to what the Institute is all about. And ultimately, it's what professionalisation or being professional is all about. Making sure that we're all suitably qualified and skilled.
Yeah, I think, to be fair as well, there could be a bit of responsibility for current associates, members, fellows, etc., to actually push the Institute as well.
Sure.
I know that I've posted a few bits that we've done with the frontline operators special interest group on my LinkedIn, and I know that the other guys that are involved in that do that as well. But yeah, I think chatter from people who are in the Institute, spreading the word would definitely help. Just coming back onto yourself, Carl, so you've got your consultancy firm, you've got your man guarding firm, and obviously you work with the Institute. Where do you kind of see the next few years for you going? How do you see that evolving and developing? What would you like to?
Wow, that's an interesting one. So I'm 54 now, or I'm 54 late in the middle of this year. So I'm not old, but I'm not young either. So I'm fully conscious that my work tempo at the moment will need to gear back slightly in the next sort of couple of years, which means that I'm currently in the process of putting quite a lot of effort into others that work very closely with me. So this is all part of my succession plan. I'm not looking to completely retire and go and sit on my yacht in Barbados in the next couple of years. I haven't earned that sort of coin, but I am looking to create a succession plan within my consultancy side of things and also within my security officer service providing side of things. So we are getting ready to look for additional clients, but as I've said to my team, I'm not going to grow the security officer business unless we've got the bandwidth to manage those different sites. So it's not about size, it's not about money. Clearly we are for profit, we want to make some money, of course we do, yeah. We're a going concern, but it's about quality. Quality is the absolute cornerstone to all of this. So in the next sort of 5 or 6 years, for me, the golden sort of endpoint would be me managing the organisations from almost from a standoff position, but having enabled others to be the boots on the ground and do the day-to-day management. So I need to find people that can become directors, so director level, and give them what we called in the military mission command, to enable them to do it, give them the resources and the authority to get on and run the businesses, but reach back to me when they need a little bit of guidance, and I will gently just disappear into the background as necessary. I think my involvement with the Institute will continue into the future. I work with a number of seasoned hands right now within the Institute, people like Mike Bluestone, Bob Martin, Jonathan Schulten, people like that have been around quite a long time. They're older guys than me. Recently, the passing of Lady Ruth Hennig, she was 80 years old. Again, people that have got lots and lots of experience, frontline experience actually, and very, very much hands-on, that are still doing and contributing right now into their later years. I think if they can do it and they get a lot of satisfaction from that, then it's probably something that I would probably like to do as well. So that's where I see the future for me.
Very good. Al, any other questions for you, mate?
No, I think. I mean, I haven't joined the, but I will be doing afterwards. So,
good man. I've recruited you.
You've converted me. I think it sounds really good. I'm really pleased to hear so much about it. I've heard bits from Alex over the last few months, especially running into today. But I've learned a great deal about the Institute, and I will be joining. So.
And that's really good news. I mean, look, the annual conference is usually around about October. The sort of things that we can do, because a lot of this is, we're members, so we do things for ourselves. Come down to London the night before. We'll arrange a social somewhere with a group of others, people that you've never met before. We'll have a bite to eat and a couple of social beers. Go to the annual conference, which is usually really good. It's a real good learning day actually, and is part of networking. But you'll learn something.
Yeah.
And I'd be really keen to hear how you feel about the Institute once you step away from that experience. And I would anticipate that it'll be really positive.
I think from personally, I think we talked about before about professional development, and sometimes you go through your life, your career, and it evolves. We've talked about we all started off as security officers, and all being mentored, and etc. And I think personally, people pick me out throughout my career and mentored me. I want to give that back, and have the opportunity to do that. And we're talking about professionalising the industry. I think organisations and institutes such as yours do that, and I think it's a massively important aspect. So.
And do you know what, Alan? I think you've got 30 years in the industry under your belt, and I think someone like you that started off right at the operational level and is now where you are, the value that you would give back to the industry through the Institute, for example, is I just can't even quantify that. And I really mean that, because you've been there, you've done it. You can talk to younger members of the Institute now and say, look, I can see where you are now. This is what I did to get to the next step, and this is the pathway. So it's about creating those career pathways, contributing. And I always feel pretty good about myself when I know I've done something good for somebody.
It's rewarding.
It's very rewarding. Yeah.
And just, I suppose, one final plug. If there's anyone out there watching or listening who wants to get in touch with you, Carl, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me at the Security Institute easily enough. So my details, I think, are there somewhere on the website. But if not, if you get in touch with the head office at the Security Institute, they will put you in touch with me. No problem at all. They'll often take your details, pass them to me, and then ask me to get in touch with you. Or you can get in touch with me at my consulting address, which is Carl with a C, Carl at dakinconsulting.co.uk.
Cool.
Easily enough.
I'm guessing you got a nice fancy website as well.
Do you know what? I haven't.
Have you not?
No, very quick. So on my consulting website, I had that built about 2014. I've done nothing with it since, purely because all of my consulting work is through word of mouth.
Fair.
So I don't need to advertise for that. But I'm in the process of having a website built for Dakin Security Services, because If you haven't got a website, you're invisible. If you're invisible, you don't exist. And we are looking to grow that business a little bit and hopefully win some clients in the not too distant future.
Cool. And obviously people can reach out to you on LinkedIn as well.
They can, yeah.
We'll pop a link for Carl's socials in the description of this podcast as well. I think that's everything then. So just again, Carl, thank you so much. I appreciate you. You know, it's a 6-hour round trip for you. So thank you so much for giving us your time. It's the most precious commodity that anyone has. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for coming and spreading the good word that the Institute does. And we will see you next time.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I thought it was awesome.